Hey guys, what's up? So in today's video, I want to talk about Hylion's valuation. I know a lot of you Hyliion fans really feel like the stock should be trading at much higher levels than where it is today. A lot of you guys thought the stock should be trading in the $70 to $90 range, which would imply a very high market cap. So in today's video, I'm going to be going through their updated investor presentation. I think they just recently updated it. And we're going to be going through some of their financials and projections and then try to get an idea of where they should be trading at. Okay, so first thing I want to go over is when Hyliion merged with Tortoise Acquisition Group, that implied a $1.5 billion enterprise value, and that was valued at $10 a share. So from the merger, Hyliion received $560 million at their disposal. So the first thing you guys need to understand is that they valued Hyliion at $1.5 billion at $10 a share. So Hyliion's plan isn't to do everything in-house. They have several partners to help them with supply chains, full system assembly, sales and marketing, and different OEM partnerships. You can see here that we got Dana they're going to use, Lone Star Electric. I mean, there's a number of ones here. So I think it's just important to understand that they're not like Tesla. They don't do everything in-house. So by having a middleman, this will take profits away from Hyliion. Now, I am assuming with this video that most of you guys have a basic understanding with Hyliion, so I'm really just going to be cutting to the chase in this video. If you weren't aware, they are coming out with the Hyliion Hypertruck ERX. This is basically their flagship truck that's going to be fully electric and which is really going to drive sales in the future, and I will be showing what kind of sales they're going to expect from this truck. But to get a timeline on it, right now they're just in the development and testing phase, as you can see right here. And then it's production, design, and development, which is going to go well into 2021, testing and validation, fleet demo rollout, commercialization and launch activities, and volume production. So volume production is going to occur somewhere in 2022. Now again, just take it with a grain of salt. Timelines on these things are rarely accurate, but Hyliion does seem credible and Healy doesn't seem like someone who's going to pump the stock on false allegations. So let's just assume this is accurate. We can expect to see this truck actually generating revenue at some time in 2022. So you can see here, this is their pro forma evaluation. Down here, it shows enterprise value at $1 billion. So that is where they are valuing the company right now. This is based on the $560 million in cash they have at hand and looking at future projections on what kind of revenue they can expect. But we need to take a look where Hyliion is currently trading. Today they had a very good day, popping almost 8%, now trading at $24. So they did break that downtrend. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be sustainable, but it is a good day to be an investor in Hyliion for a lot of you guys. But what I want to look at actually is their market cap down here. It's at $3.7 billion right now. Okay, so their market cap is at $3.7 billion, but their enterprise value is at around $1 billion. So there's a huge discrepancy between their market cap and enterprise value. And to me, this is not a good thing. If we take a look at other high growth stocks, first, I want to look at Virgin Galactic. Now, I realize this is not an EV company, but they are pre-revenue just like Hyliion, and both companies have very high expectations. But even with Virgin Galactic being pre-revenue and high expectations, you can see that their market cap and enterprise value is usually very closely related to each other. Right now, it's both around 4.7 and 4.36 billion. But I need to give you guys more examples so you understand what I'm talking about here. If we look at something like Tesla, which is in the EV space, their market cap enterprise value, again, trade very closely together. You can see here, 410 billion to enterprise value of 417. And you can see in the previous quarters, again, they traded very close to each other. The next one is Cummings. Cummings is a competitor with Hyliion. They're both involved in the Class 8 semi-truck. And again, this company, very similar market cap and enterprise value, 32 billion to 35 billion. And their previous quarters is very closely related as well. So you can see most companies are trading very similar. And if you want to see what a bad indicator looks like, here is Navistar, another competitor to Hyliion. Their enterprise value is 7.44 billion, but their market cap is 3.52. This is a really bad sign of the company. This is basically the company performing very poorly and just a dying company. So this is something that you don't want to see in a company. Obviously, this is the opposite to what Hyliion has going on right now. They have a high market cap and a low enterprise value, which basically means they're very high in demand, where Navistar has very low demand for the stock right now because of their poor performance. So I wanted to show you guys where Hyliion's current market cap is compared to their enterprise value, and then show you examples so you guys get an idea of where it should be at. But there's a lot more we can do to figure out the value of Hyliion, so just stay with me here. Let's go to the next slide. That's a summary of their expected financials. So right now they're only generating $1 million in revenue in 2020. So essentially they have no revenue right now, and then next year in the entirety of 2021, they're only expected to generate $8 million in revenue. And then if we look 2 years out to 2022, then they get up to $344 million in revenue. So now they're starting to generate actually a little bit of meaningful revenue. And in 2023, which is 3 years out, and just keep in mind, the market is forward looking, but it usually only looks forward a year or two out max, because it becomes way too unpredictable and uncertain to be able to predict that far into the future. But let's just go with this. 2023, now we're expected to generate $1 billion in revenue. 2024, $2 billion in revenue. Okay, let's just stop for a second. Now that we see these expected revenues, let's figure out where Hyliion should be trading by using a price to sales ratio. Okay, so we got to figure out what kind of price to sales ratio will Hyliion trade at. Now, we're going to look at Tesla first, but keep in mind, I don't think that Tesla and Hyliion have nearly anything in common. So really, I don't think that this is even comparable. I think that Tesla actually deserves a much higher price to sales ratio than Hyliion for the following reasons. One is that Tesla has already proven itself to be an EV leader in the entire world, and they're just going to keep on growing that lead. Plus, everything is going right for the company. They're extremely proven in what they do. Their margins are increasing, their revenue is increasing, their market share is increasing. They're involved in energy storage, solar, robotics. They created the most powerful chip ever. They have autonomous driving and potential robo-taxi network coming out. So there's way more growth potential with Tesla, and they're really changing the world. But anyways, Tesla trades at a 16 PS ratio right now, but previously it was at 7.61, 3.77, 3, and 1.67. So it's really ramped up, but that's also because Tesla was extremely misunderstood and is now being properly evaluated. We can also look at Cummings, which is a competitor to Hyliion. Not really in the EV space, but they are well established. Anyways, their price to sales ratio is usually around 1. Now I know Cummings is a completely different company than Hyliion, but it's worth looking at to get an idea of where other companies are trading at for their price to sales ratio, to get an idea of where Hyliion could be trading at. But do keep in mind, I do expect Hyliion to be trading at a much higher price to sales ratio than Cummings, but I do expect it to be trading at less than Tesla. So with Tesla sitting at 16, Cummings sitting at 1, I honestly think it'd be very fair to assume a price to sales ratio of 5. Now I know some of you probably think, no, it deserves a 10 PS ratio or a 50. Well, these are my opinions. If you don't agree with a price to sales ratio of 5, you can implement your own number and come up with this potential valuation. But for this video, I'm just going to assume a price to sales ratio of 5. It could be lower, it could be higher. Really, nobody knows at this point. So it depends where you want to look at. If you want to fast forward time to 2022, let's say they're generating $344 million in revenue. If you implement a 5 PS ratio to that, then their market cap should be trading at $1.5 billion. That is much lower than today's market cap of around $3 to $4 billion. So that implies a 50% drop if we look at 2022 at a 5 PS ratio. Now, if we go to 2023, where we're generating $1 billion in revenue with a 5 PS ratio, well, now we're looking at a $5 billion market cap, a little bit up from where we are today. But keep in mind, this is years away. The market is definitely not going to just consolidate at around 3 to 4 billion market cap to wait 3 years for it to catch up to its valuation. Maybe you think a 5 PS ratio is way too low, but I've been looking at many different companies in the similar space, and that to me seems very reasonable. Please don't compare Hyliion to what Nikola once traded at. They're two entirely different companies. Nikola was just a pump and dump stock. It had no valuation metrics built into that price at all. But anyways, fast forward another year into 2024, if they can generate $2 billion in revenue, now that would imply a market cap of $10 billion using a price to sales ratio of 5, which would be significantly higher than today's market cap of 3 to 4 billion. But again, this is a lot of years to wait for that. And there's a lot more than just price to sales. Also, margins is a big thing. Looking down here at the projected margins, they're expected to go from 21% in 2021 to 35% in 2024. Now, maybe these margins are possible, but I really do think that they are definitely on the high side. If we compare it to Tesla, well, just a few years ago, their margins were like 12 to 15%. And then last year, they grew from 17 to 22%, which is extremely impressive. And then in the first quarter, Tesla improved their margins to 25.5%. And then in just the recent announcement, just a few days ago, they have their margins up to, I believe, like 28%. And Tesla is like the best in the business when it comes to automation and robotics and increasing their revenues. So I realize that Hyliion is a much different business in the way they're doing things. So maybe it's easier to get a better margin with the way Hyliion's doing it. But anyways, it definitely is something to think about and to take into consideration, I think. And then yeah, even in Hyliion's investor presentation, they have a slide here that is anticipating their future enterprise value. In the year 2024, they expect to be 2.8 billion. Now, this company trades like any other company. Their market cap should be around that as well. So to me, seeing the Hyliion's trading between 3 to 4 billion market cap right now, I really don't believe that on a fundamental basis that it's justified. And I'm very unbiased in the situation. I've never invested in Hyliion. I've always just looked at it from an outside perspective. But when I just go through the numbers, it doesn't make sense to me. Now, a lot of you are probably like, oh, but there's so much opportunity for Hyliion. They're gonna do so amazing. Yeah, but in every single bubble, that's the situation. That's what creates a bubble. In the tech bubble, people knew that there was such a massive opportunity with technology, and that was true, but the company still collapsed, and then companies like Microsoft took 14 years later to get back to their proper valuation. And then if you look just 2 years ago at the cannabis bubble in Canada, those companies had such a huge opportunity ahead of them, which was totally true. The cannabis industry has such a big market opportunity. So all of those stocks climbed to way unjustified levels. And then almost all of those stocks now have lost 96% of their value. So it doesn't necessarily matter how much of an opportunity is ahead of a company. The market just doesn't look that far out. So you might disagree with this, but then just make sure you ask yourself, what do you think that the market cap should be right now? Do you think it's supposed to be 10 billion? Even though the company is only generating 1 to 8 million in revenue a year right now? I mean, me personally, I wouldn't buy a company for $10 billion if it was only generating around 1 to 8 million annually, and then the next year after 344 million, then the next year after 1 billion, and that's not take-home pay, that's only gross profit. So it would take you a very long time to make your money back in business. I really just don't feel like Hyliion should be trading at $70 to $90 like a lot of people think. But yeah, that's just my take on Hyliion. Again, I'm completely unbiased in this. I'm not invested in this stock. I really hope that this stock does do well for you guys. But I think it's also important to look at the stock from a different view, because I do know a lot of YouTubers are a huge fan of Hyliion and have very high expectations in the future for this company. And again, this video isn't saying that Hyliion isn't going to do well in the future. All I'm saying is that maybe it's possible the valuation has gone ahead of itself. But anyways, make sure you guys let me know in the comments down below what you think Hyliion's true valuation should be, and maybe give a little explanation on why you think that. These are just my opinions, looking at it from a very basic and fundamental way. But anyways, that's really all I have for this video. If you guys liked it and found it informative, please drop a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, please feel free to subscribe. I upload stock videos almost every single day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.